Darling, darling, you're beautiful. Gotta keep your head up. Never let anything bring you down. Sunshine will always come around. Stay strong, move on. You have such a beautiful soul. Let your energy radiate.
Hey everyone, welcome to your midweek yoga. Tonight we're going to be using some props. I like to call them the three B's. So it's blocks, blanket, and bolster. And if you don't have blocks, it's fine to use a nice sturdy book. I would say like a hardcover, thick book, maybe around 2 inches thick or more. Um, Old shoe boxes, sturdy shoe boxes. You can tape those up with packing tape and make a nice sturdy box. That will work as well. Water bottles, any kind of thermos that's sturdy that you may bring to the gym or to your mat is super helpful to replace blocks. Obviously, for a blanket, it can be any blanket at home. Also, can be a nice towel, something soft. And then for a bolster, this is kind of a rectangular item that is a yoga bolster, but usually around 4 or 5 inches thick. Doesn't have to be that thick. Certainly, any cushion will do, or any little pillow. And I often find that sometimes sidearm cushions on couches or that perfect little rectangular shape, really nice supportive hold when you're sitting on it. I like to take my blanket and just kind of lay it over my bolster or pillow, which gives me almost a little 1 inch um, padding here for when I sit and cross my legs. So that's just an offering, just a nice way to set yourself up, and definitely take time tonight to not only set yourself up, but to disassemble when we're finished using a prop. Take time getting into the posture, take time to use your intuition. We talked about that last week when we met regarding what feels right in your body and just really listening to your body intuitively. So take your time with that as well. Take your time setting up at the end of the practice for your Shavasana as well. So, certainly, if you need to pause the recording, you can do that. I'm going to take a little seat on my bolster, get myself comfy. I like to sort of come to the front edge of the bolster. Again, whatever's within your practice and whatever feels comfortable for you. If just a simple cross legged Sukhasana sitting pose is what works, go for it. I like to sort of let my knees connect with the earth, and then that kind of allows my shins to almost cross in front of each other and also plant on the earth. And that also allows somewhat the tops of my feet to plant on the earth. It gives me a nice open hip to start my warm ups, and just that beginning meditation just kind of feels really nice. And this is often how I will go into my own meditations, regardless of yoga. Okay, so we're going to have our one block off to the side. We are going to be using that for our warm ups and throughout the practice. If you have a second block or bottle or book that you can leave off to the front of your mat, that would be excellent as well. And I think that's about it. And I like to also use the blanket for my knees when I'm in certain poses on my bended knee table, for example, or the Jasana pose. I'll very often fold a blanket under my knees, or I'll just use my trick of 2 or 3 layered mats. As long as they stick to each other and don't slide around, that should be great. Whew, big introduction on the three B's. So happy last month of 2020. I'm offering a guided breath exercise to start. So that's going to help with some de stressing. It's going to center the mind and will also nourish your oxygen supply. Then we're going to use the props and go through the postures as I recommended. Just getting situated on your bolster. Let's start with that breathing practice. It's going to be an alternate nostril breathing practice. If you're having any nasal congestion or just feeling a little lightheaded, um, it's okay to pass on the alternate breathing pranayama. So, how I'm going to start this practice is by taking the two fingers of my right hand. So, that would be the forefinger and the middle finger. I'm going to place that just between my brows. So, that's your third eye area. And I will invite you to close your eyes, but just for the demo, if you want to keep those open for a minute, we're going to have the thumb making contact with the right nostril. So the right thumb to the right nostril, and you should be able to just move that thumb up and down, open and close that nostril just to practice. And then we're going to take the right ring finger and we're going to practice opening and closing the nostril on the left side with that finger. A little bit difficult to do, but if you are pressing in with the two fingers on the third eye, that should be relatively easy because you'll be using your thumb as leverage. So every time the thumb closes the right nostril, the left nostril will be open and the ring finger will be extended. You can just kind of leave that pinky floating around there. No need to press into your face with it. Just keep it floating. And then when you are using that ring finger to compress the left nostril, you'll use that as leverage, and then the thumb will float. So we're going to start with closing the right nostril with the thumb. And we're going to take an inhale just from the left nostril. So we're centering the breath. And when we breathe in through the left side, it actually stimulates the right brain. When we're ready to exhale, we're going to switch fingers so that that left ring finger is closing the left nostril and we're exhaling out of the right nostril. So practice that a couple of times. And if you want to, at this point, close your eyes so that you can concentrate. Just inhaling now through the right nostril with the thumb out, compressing that right nostril with the right thumb, and allowing the left ring finger to open up the left nostril as you exhale. Inhaling with the left nostril. We'll then release the thumb. As we press in, we exhale through the right nostril. We're pressing the ring finger to the left nostril. So we're really just alternating thumb, ring finger, thumb, ring finger. And every time we inhale through the one nostril, we get to the top of that breath, we're going to close that nostril off and we're going to exhale through the opposite nostril. Practicing a few times, getting that sensation of drifting from one side to the other. This also helps with relaxation, helps with sleep. It's a sleep aid. And then if you can, start to see if you can do a 2-1 ratio. So if we were inhaling with the count of 1 through the right nostril, when we close off that nostril and exhale with the left nostril, maybe we exhale for a count of 2. Eventually, you want to build yourself up to be able to inhale for a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 8. So take your time with this. I'm not going to guide you anymore through the breath. Halfway through, I will remind you, just in case you lost track of the inhales and exhales and what we're doing. Feeling the grounding of the body, feeling your sits bones and your legs connecting with the earth, maybe your legs connecting with each other. Just allowing the hips to draw down, maybe telescoping that backbone so that the crown of the head is nice and straight and tall. reaching up to the ceiling, making sure that the left arm is just relaxed off to the left side of the body, keeping the shoulders relaxed. Trying to relax that right arm, maybe even leaning the upper part of the arm into the chest, and really using your fingers as leverage so that you're able to focus at the third eye with the press of the fingers, but also inhale and exhaling through the nostrils with the press and release of the thumb and the ring finger. Perhaps you may get to the point where you can inhale for a count of 4, holding at the top momentarily as you switch fingers, exhaling out of the opposite nostril for a very slow, steady, smooth count of 8. And again, inhaling from that same nostril, count of 4, switching sides, exhaling from the opposite nostril, count of 8. Again, inhaling from that same nostril, count of 4, switching fingers and exhaling from the opposite nostril, count of 8. Inhaling from that same nostril, count of 4, exhaling, count of 8. Slowly releasing the hands to the lap, taking a nice inhale through the nose, feeling the cool air pass through the tip of the nose. Nice filling up of the belly. And when you're ready, releasing that breath, maybe making a little sigh, a little sound, a little flutter of the lips. But hopefully that made you relax a little bit. You're a little bit more settled in and you're ready for some work. We are going to take our block, hold it on both sides, straight out in front. Now you can stay seated here if you want to just recross your legs, just for some comfort, that's fine. But it's okay to stay up on your blanket or bolster or pillow. And again, we're going to extend the arms out. So if this is a water bottle or a book, just holding it in the long side would be great. And we're just going to lift that block up on the inhale. So inhaling, stretching, reaching, elbows straight, trying not to get those shoulders to come too far up to the ears. But when you are holding something in your hands and you're maybe even commanding a little press on each side, they do tend to get a little bit higher. But maybe imagine hollow armpits for this exercise. And if you can imagine the hollow armpit and the straight elbows, that'll allow your shoulders to just get a little bit more of a setback as opposed to scrunching them up to your ears. All right. On the exhale, we're going to lower that block in front. On the inhale, we're going to raise it up. Now, as we're going for that reach, we're also drawing the belly towards the backbone and engaging the lower rib cage, just knitting that in. So we get a nice tall body. And on the exhale, bringing it forward. On the inhale, rising, drawing the tailbone down, pelvis coming forward. On the exhale, bringing it down. 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale, really keeping those arms nice and straight in front of us. Maybe you have a little grip on your book, bottle, or block or box. That's okay too. As long as we're making sure that all the muscles of the face, the neck, are nice and light and loose. Okay, we're at the top now for that inhale. And what we're going to do at this point is we're going to exhale and just bring that block into one open palm up towards the ceiling on the exhale. On the inhale, that's going to come back, nice active arms. And on the exhale, we're going to switch hands and go to the other side. So at your own pace, inhaling and exhaling, taking your block, bottle, or box. And for the rest of the practice, I'm going to just refer to it as a block and making sure that you have nice active opposite arm. Again, we want to draw that belly in on the lift, and we can release on the exhale, maybe drawing that tailbone a little bit towards the ground, really checking in with our posture, the connectivity of the sits bones and the legs. And when you're finished on the left side, we're going to meet back up and top on the inhale, and the exhale, we're going to bring that forward. Now I'm going to ask you to keep holding on to that block, and we're going to do the same thing, inhaling, bringing out to the side this time, and maybe drawing the shoulder blades in towards the back. Trying to keep nice straight arms. Just like 2020, we've got a little bit of a challenge here. And what seemed to be, just something really easy, the longer we did it, the harder it got. So I don't think we need necessarily a reminder of that. But sometimes it's important to just pay honor, and I call it an homage or respect for all that what may have seemed quite easy, but took a lot of effort and hard work. When you get to the left side, we're going to finish up. And I'm going to ask you to bring that up above again. So arms are straight. And yes, you should be feeling it by now. We're going to take a nice little tilt over to the left. And when I say little, I mean little. I don't want it to feel uncomfortable. I don't want the sits bones to rise up on the right side. And we certainly, again, don't want to stress out the head or the shoulders. So we're breathing here. And then on the inhale, we're going to rise up. Coming over now, bending over to the right. On the exhale, rising up on the inhale. Realigning your shoulders, making sure the armpits are nice and hollow. We're going to exhale, coming back over to the left. Maybe the gaze is just kind of looking past that right elbow. And on the inhale, coming up. And on the exhale, coming over to the right. Now at your own pace. And pay really close attention to that chin as you come up. As the chin is drawing back and you're almost leaning your head back a little bit as if there was a little shelf there. That's nice alignment and really good for the neck and the spine. And also, again, remembering not to lift up that right sits bone as we bend over to the left, and keeping the left sits bone as we bend over to the right, keeping the core engaged. And once you've hit that last left side, we're going to meet at the top on the inhale. Finally, we get to bring the block down. Ooh. Shake it out a little bit. Roll your shoulders. We're going to place it just behind us on the right. Again, it's okay to stay a little bit elevated here. Taking the left hand to the right knee, we're just going to use the block now as leverage. Pressing in, maybe trying to straighten out that arm. And just exhale, looking over to the right. On the inhale, we're going to sweep that block around, switch hands, placing it on the left side behind us, taking the right hand to the left knee, exhaling, looking over the left shoulder. And just start to take those little twists. And maybe even playing on the exhale, trying to bring that block further and further behind you without stretching out the jaw, without clenching the teeth. Making sure that we're always turning the torso like a barber pole, just starting at the bottom, twisting as we come up through the top of the pole, and then bringing it over to the other side for the exhale. And when you're finally at the last side on the left, we're going to meet in front. And now it's going to just get a little bit more twisty and a little bit more real. We're going to extend that block one last time. That's the inhale. On the exhale, we're going to take that block and reach it behind us. So you can do that with the long side. Feel free to do it with your palm up, palm down, whatever works for you. As long as you have clearance and as long as you're stabilizing that right knee, because now you don't have the left hand to hold it. Feeling that, once again, that telescoping of the backbone. As we come to the front, we're going to switch blocks. Take the exhale to the other side. So that right hand straight in front, left hand right behind you. And you're going to notice you're going to probably be using your knees a little bit more here. Since you're not using your hand for leverage, you might be just working that core a little bit more as well. Not forgetting to breathe, inhaling forward, exhaling back. Let's give it one more twist. Really feeling that reach on the left side. Coming back center for the inhale. You can put your block down. Maybe move it just slightly to the front of the mat, coming off of any props that you may have now, but keeping them handy for any forward folds, Shavasana. And certainly if you want to fold your blanket or towel and use it as a cushion for your knees, go right ahead. We're going to get set up into table. And setting up for table, just checking the alignment that the wrists are beneath the elbows, elbows beneath the shoulders. Go ahead and check your hand span, making sure that your middle fingers are touching and swinging them back out towards the front. You can also go for a reverse hand. Just make sure that you're keeping that same plane where your wrist and heel is of your hand, maybe switching one hand and then the other hand, so that we have nice alignment. And just checking that, swiveling around, making sure that feels comfortable. Doing some cat-cows. Now we're allowing the belly to drop. The shoulders are going to draw back. The hips are going to draw up. Maybe the toes are curled under for your first cow. And for the exhale, pressing the tops of the feet, perhaps lifting the tailbone. The hips will drop. The head will drop. Shoulders drop. For cat. And just continue on your own breath, inhaling for cow, exhaling for cat. And start to take some intuitive movements here. Really just take a moment to listen to your body, whether that's swivels of the hips, figure eights, maybe switching the hands again, maybe one is back, one is forward, and just kind of using your own observance of the body. So I'm going to call on Deepak Chopra's acronym for STOP. So S is for stop and smile. T is for take a breath. O is for observe the sensations that are happening in your body. And P is proceed with compassion and awareness in your mind and your body. So I always find cat-cow a wonderful time to practice stop. Maybe taking 4 more rounds of breath here in your cat-cows, really feeling the presence of your body. Not forgetting to breathe. And just taking those final last movements. Softening up the eyes, the cheeks, the jaw, the mouth. Feeling the belly start to soften. And feeling the lubrication happening in the shoulder joints as well as the hip joints, possibly the toe joints if you've chosen to bring your toes up for cow and plant your tops of your feet for cat. Settling back in to table, taking that left foot out towards the back of the mat, toes curled under. We're going to take the right hand and reach it forward. So the palm will be facing towards the left. And we're just going to practice lifting up that back leg. So maybe the inhale is lifting, exhale is releasing. And just trying to get a nice straight line from right fingertip to the left toe, excuse me. And I'm pointing the toes towards the ground, just makes it easier to tap the toe as we come down for the lift, or should say come down after the lift. And then we're going to try a little something extra. We're going to take that block and we're going to extend it out in the right hand. So we already know how that feels on the toes. Let's see how that feels lifting that left toe. Maybe see how it feels pointing that left toe. Really extending through the right arm. Take it here for an inhale of 4, exhale of 8. Release. Switching to the other side now. We're going to take the right toes, curl them under. Left hand is going to come forward. The gaze really should be towards the top part of your mat. We really want the crown to draw forward just like the fingertips are. So we're going to lift that back right foot and start counting our lifts. Inhaling and exhaling. And maybe getting to a count of, 5 or 6 lifts. And if you're feeling tempted to be challenged, taking that block in your left hand, straightening it out, lifting that right toe, maybe pointing it as far towards the back of the room as possible, reaching that left hand, making sure that you're stable and square for an inhale of 4, exhale for 8, evenly distributing the weight, really feeling the support of that left knee, left top of your foot, and the right fingertips, and release. So that's a really important pose, to use those back pinky toes that are flat on the ground. So if you're back in table, we're going to take that block. And by the way, you can actually use a bolster underneath you now, or a pillow. You can even use a rolled towel or blanket. I just really challenge you to get something that's about 4 or 5 inches high. So for a block, we usually just put it there on the side. Best place to start is really right in the middle of your little square here that you've created between your mat, your thigh, your belly, and your arm. And if you are in your table position and you're centered right over that block, you should be able to walk your hands out 1 hand length. So that's 1 hand length. So I want my hand to be 1 hand length ahead of where it was before. Keeping my toes curled, really bending in there with my toes. Starting to lift with the knees bent into bent knee down dog. We're going to be leaning the torso onto the thighs. And then pressing forward, sliding, lifting into a high plank. And we're just going to let the hips drop just slightly so they touch either that blanket or block. That's the inhale. That's your up dog. Exhale, pressing up into downward dog. Again, you can keep your knees bent there. And we're just going to go forward and back. So inhaling, the chest rises, the chin extends forward, not too much. We don't want to overextend the neck. And then exhale, bent knee down dog. And just taking these for maybe 5 or 6 counts. making sure that you're really picking up from the hip area towards the ceiling, but keeping those knees bent in your down dog. We don't need to do a full extended dog right now. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, downward dog. And then we're going to go into our Adho Mukha Svanasana, which is your upward dog. And really using that block as a barrier so that we're not overextending the back into that back bend for the upward dog. And we're also using it as a guide so that we almost, when we're in our bent knee down dog, our knees are almost coming to that block before we lift the hips and press back. And again, we don't need to bring our heels down. We can just stay in that bent knee down dog. And it's a wonderful way to get into your upward dog. Finally, ending up in downward dog, we're going to lower the knees and we're going to lower the backside to the heels for child's pose. Now, child's pose could be really great on that rolled blanket or pillow or even block. So just allowing your head to rest on that block. You can tilt the block over to the flat side just to get it a little bit lower. And really imagine your hairline just leaning on that block as the arms extend in front. Nice relaxed fingers, relaxed arms. See if you can draw that belly up. Nice little scoop in the belly. On the inhale, exhale, release. Maybe drawing the belly up just a little bit more on the exhale. Maybe taking nice 5 breaths. You can try your count of 4 on the inhale, count of 8 on the exhale. You can just do your natural breathing pattern. And just taking another moment to stop, smile, take a breath, observe your body, and then proceed with compassion and awareness. Slowly coming out of your balasana, your child's pose, walking the hands back up towards the knees. You can now take that block, place it in the front of the mat. We're going to use that in a moment. We just want to take 2 more cat-cows. So again, at your leisure, nice inhale for cow, exhale for cat. Really getting nice full body stretches here on the inhale and the exhale. Curling the toes under, lifting those hips up, maybe coming into your traditional downward dog. Checking in with the alignment of the elbows, seeing if we've got some nice outward rotation going there. So again, just as a reminder, we're spreading our fingers as far as we can, really having buoyancy in those fingers. The palms are almost lifting from the center. We can put that little bit of pressure in the back heel, but we really want to be more forward thinking. And then those elbows are outwardly rotating, which is taking that stress and compression off of the shoulders as we root forward to rise up and back with our hips. So just settling in for a moment from your dog walk, allowing the head to drop and release, still keeping that belly button engaged, parachuting the belly up towards the ceiling. We're going to look between our hands and slowly tippy toe, feet between the front hands. And we've got that nice block to lean on here for our forward fold. So again, you can bend the knees, allowing the head to drop as the tailbone draws up towards the ceiling, and you're really using that block as a support. We can also turn the block and bend the elbows and maybe come a little bit further down. Or we can turn the block on its highest point and go with straight arms and just see if we can slowly start to bend the elbows to slowly get ourselves used to getting into that forward fold and breathing there. Again, feet are going to be hip distance apart. The knees are going to be soft. The tailbone is going to be reaching towards the sky as the navel draws in. And perhaps that gaze can go right up between the legs towards the back of the mat. And if you have two blocks and you really are having a problem with the fold, you can scaffold your blocks to really start to help you lean over. You can tee them in this direction, get a little bit lower. And then you just eventually start to lower yourself without a block to your full forward fold. Tonight's practice, however, we're going to keep that block with us and we're going to press into it as we lift halfway. So we're shining the chest, the gaze is going to go towards the front. We're going to make sure that we're not really doing a little back bend here. So see if you can draw that tailbone down towards the earth. So we're almost getting a little bit of a rounded spine as we press into that block, straight arms. Again, if you have two blocks, it's beautiful because it gives you some nice alignment. Drawing the chest forward, chin rises for that halfway lift. Exhale, bending the knees, forward fold. Again, using the blocks as your support. Torso leaning on the upper thighs. Taking one of the blocks, maybe taking one of the hands to the hip, or just vertebrae by vertebrae, starting to raise the head, the body. Again, rooting to rise. So rooting the feet, rooting the four corners of each of the feet, really using the strength of the thighs to press up, drawing that tailbone down, pelvis tilts, navel draws towards the back, knitting in those ribs. We're going to reach up with our block to upward salute, Urdhva Hastasana. Again, holding the block perhaps this way with both hands for the reach and the inhale. Exhale, switching the hand that we came up with as we swan dive very super slow into our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, really actively drawing the tailbone down towards the earth. Rising the chest. Exhale, forward fold. Switching hands, pressing up, rooting through the feet, rising to Urdhva Hastasana with the other side of with the block. And then exhaling, coming back down. Forward fold, halfway rise, forward fold again, allowing everything to loosen up, just drawing and dripping down towards the block, towards the earth, using whatever support you need there. Again, rooting to rise, coming up with the opposite hand now, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, switching hands, coming down for your forward fold. And just take a couple of more rounds here on your own, halfway lifting, forward fold. Coming up again, Urdhva Hastasana, nice reach. If you want to include a little back bend here, you can, as long as you're drawing that tailbone down, shifting the pelvis, drawing the belly in, lifting from the rib cage. So we're not compressing that back on the little back bend. And then exhale, swan diving, forward fold. Nice soft elbows on the forward fold, nice straight elbows on the Ardha Uttanasana on the halfway left. Again, Uttanasana, forward fold. When you're ready, your last lift. We're all going to meet up here in Urdhva Hastasana with the block above our head. Leaning into that right foot or rooting into the right foot, we're going to come up on our left toes. I'm going to slowly start to lean forward and take that left foot back so we have a nice straddle. The left toes are going to point to the left upper part of the mat. Right toes are going to point forward as we bend into that right knee. You don't have to go crazy stance wide on this warrior two, but I would like you to take that left hip and really think about drawing it forward. Drawing that right knee towards the right. We're going to take the torso and we're going to turn it towards the left. And now that right hand that's holding the block, preferably at the bottom, you can extend it perpendicular over the right knee, left arm behind, maybe the palm is down behind you, and perhaps turning the palm up. Really just holding that block like a platter or the water bottle or the box. And now bending into that warrior two, Virabhadrasana two. The gaze is going to go towards the block. We're going to activate that belly, knitting up from the chest, bending into the right knee, but leaning back a little bit, really leaning it as if you're serving up that block and you're very proud of it. The chin is there, the head is back. And on the exhale, we're going to press to straighten that front leg. We're going to take that left hand, bringing it down to the left thigh as we bring that right block right up and over our head for peaceful warrior. Shanti Virabhadrasana. And then exhale, coming back into warrior two. Again, lifting for the inhale, peaceful warrior. It's okay to take an extra breath here. One more inhale before we exhale into warrior two. One more time. Peaceful warrior, warrior two. Taking the toes, pointing them towards the long side of your mat. Taking that block now, supported by both hands. A nice stretch, as if we could do a 5-pointed star, but this is more of a 3-pointed star, which I guess is a chevron, I think. We're going to take the left toes now, pointing them towards the back of the mat. The right heel is going to kick backward, so that the right toes now are pointing towards the back left corner of the mat. And we'll switch hands. So we're going to bend that knee just like we do in warrior two. We're going to take that block, and you can decide which way you want to do it. We're going to do an extended side angle pose. And then we're going to decide if we're going to put that towards the back of our leg. We can put it towards the front. I prefer the front. And then if we want to extend that side angle, we bring the palm facing down to the floor. The gaze is up towards the ceiling. A couple of breaths here. If you're feeling really crazy and you want to just take your elbow and lean your forearm of your left hand onto your left thigh, you can actually
take the block and extend it over the head for your extended side angle.
That way you'll be feeling that stretch. You'll be feeling that down the whole right side, rising up to that 5-pointed star or that chevron, pivoting the feet now towards warrior two, back on that side. Using that block, we're going to place it to the front right in front of us. By the way, I had my water cup here because I was going to demonstrate how if you have a nice sturdy tumbler, and if you're feeling confident, you can always use that as your balance as well. So again, we're going to come from that warrior two with a block, or in this case, I'm going to demo the tumbler, and start to lift that left leg. Toes are going to point towards the left, and perhaps the arm is going to come up. If it can't come up and you just want to keep it here at your hip, that's great. If you want to start to turn the head, raise the arm, the drishti will come up to the thumb, the gaze will be right there. And again, if that's too low for you, there's always the option of, if you have really sturdy blocks, just kind of trying it out this way. You know, a little scaffolding, never hurt anyone. And you can always do the T scaffold. That feels really sturdy as well. And it's really about pulling up all the energy in that right leg, and maybe even drawing that right inner thigh bone inward so that you're really kicking more of your heel as if you're standing on that back wall. Slowly lower your foot, slowly rise. And then we're going to bring our feet together at the front of the mat. I'm going to take it to the other side. So I'm going to switch over here just so we can see again. And we're just going to go a little bit faster on this side. So again, the inhale is the Urdhva Hastasana, lifting. Maybe you get a little back bend going. Taking the left foot now, putting some weight in there as the right toes come up. And we start to slowly slide it back into warrior two position. Bending the left knee, Left knee drawing towards the left, that right toe pointing towards the back side. And again, oh, is that right? Yeah, that's right. Warrior two. So the arms are coming out. Again, you can hold your block however you want. I kind of like it like a serving platter, and I remind myself to put my right hand down. Left hand is up, coming down on that knee, couple of breaths here, and remembering to just lean a little bit back. Just lean it a little bit back, taking that chin. Nice, proud warrior two. Straightening that left leg, bringing the block over for peaceful warrior. And again, at your own, you want to take a couple of breaths in each of the poses. That's fine. You want to inhale one of the poses and exhale the other, which will probably speed up your movements. You might get a little bit breathy, like I am right now. And we're going to meet back in warrior two. We're going to take the block up to the top for our chevron. Switching sides, we're going to take the right toe now, pointed towards the back of the mat. Left foot is going to flip, getting into that warrior two on this side. And that's going to become our extended side angle. So again, you choose if you're going to take the right forearm and connect it with the right thigh. You want to take the right hand to the right block on the inside of the leg. Just making sure you're bending in there. Imagining that your right rib cage can turn up towards the ceiling. Really getting that twist, because that left hip bone is going to always go forward and down. Again, it's like that barber pole. You want to just corkscrew it right up to the top. And then again, for the extended, taking the left hand up and over the left ear, left pinky drawing towards the ground. Nice straight line from this left hand all the way down the left side body to the left outer edge of the foot. And if you're going for that little extra little cantilever, just that small weight of that block or water bottle, really, you can really feel the stretch, especially right up in here in the upper rib cage. That's where I'm feeling it. And to release, press up into that right foot, coming back into your chevron, going back into the warrior two at the front, opening it up, setting up now for Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose on this side, taking that left block perhaps. I have a couch here, so I'm going to use it. Taking that right toe. And again, it's like drawing that heel towards. You can even come forward with that foot. That's a nice way of balancing out the pose. As long as that left toe is pointing really straight to the top of the mat, you can take that right heel, pointing it back towards the back wall, as if you're standing on the wall. Take the right arm up. And if you really want to be crazy, you can also take that over your head. Couple of breaths. Again, turning that right thigh bone in and down really will make you point that heel out towards the back. If you need a little buoyancy in that left knee, you don't want to lock it out, you can always do a little knee bend. And then we're going to come back down into our warrior two. And then come back up to the front of your mat. We're going to do the same thing. This time it's okay to keep the hands to the sides. Maybe the block is in your right hand. We're going to, again, lean into that right foot. We're going to take the left foot back. And this time we're going to do sort of a railroad track. So both toes are pointing forward. Hips are pointing forward. We're going to bend into that right knee. And that's going to be your crescent lunge. So we're going to come up on that left toe. Really come up. If you need to like wiggle it, you can see I'm walking my ball of my toes back because I want a nice stretch here. But my feet really are on railroad tracks. So I'm super stabilized. Finding the center of my body, cross-referencing right shoulder, left hip, left shoulder, right hip. where that line intersects. That's the center of your body, really sitting in there, really enjoying that just for a moment before it's time to lift up with the right hand. If you want to use both hands, that's fine too. Really feel that elbow extension, opening the hollows of the armpits for your crescent lunge. And then when you're ready, straightening that right front leg, reach, 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 reach forward. If you do need to bring up that left foot a little bit to narrow the base of your pyramid, go for it. Again, great opportunity. I just used my block, leaned on it, and was able to get some stability to move that foot. If you do have two blocks, beautiful time to just let the palms rest. A nice flat back, drawing the tailbone down towards the ground. Pelvis is going to tilt forward, maybe drawing that belly up towards the backbone. And just stay here for your pyramid. Couple of breaths, again, allowing the crown of the head to draw forward. Check in with the eyes, check in with the jaw. Is there any tension happening? Sometimes as we lower our head and let the head drop, we start to get a little constriction in the torso or in the throat. If that happens, pull out of it. That's what the blocks are for. So that you can get a really great leg stretch without, feeling like you're killing yourself. Again, crown can draw forward or down. If you're feeling like you want to experiment and go down, you can also lower the level of the blocks and just really allow the head to drop. And just bending those elbows, determining at what point, at what angle do you want to bend those elbows so that you can get further and further down. But if you start to notice anything really tightening or clenching, we don't want to block the energy flow. You want to imagine that you can absorb the energy from the arches of the feet. So you're pressing in with the heels, but you're pressing in with the toes. You're not gripping the toes. You're not digging in the heel. Both feet are working equally. Both legs are working equally. The thigh bones are drawing towards it themselves, or towards each other, I should say. When you're ready, we're going to bend that front knee. We're going to take those two blocks or one block, and we're going to just start to pump up and lift with that left toe, and maybe wiggling it out a little bit, wiggling the leg out. And if you're so inclined and you want to root into that right foot, straightening the right leg, pointing the toes now down towards the mat. Again, the legs are still on railroad tracks. If you were to swing this foot up, it would come right at your hip below you. You're going to take it back, using the blocks again as our balance, drawing the crown in front, drawing the tailbone towards the heel. Warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. And this is where you can start to play with extending one hand. You can extend out one hand. You can extend back one hand. And maybe just knowing that the blocks are there, that little micro bend in the knee just makes you feel a little bit stable, where you say, oh, I'm going to take that flight and I'm going to lift my arms. I'm going to come out to the sides. I'm going to come forward. When you're ready, lowering that foot, shake it out. Taking one of the blocks, setting up on the other side for your crescent lunge. Taking that right foot back this time, leaning into the left knee, coming up on the right toes, nice railroad tracks, nice stability, getting yourself into a nice, low, stable lunge, and then going for the lift. This time I'm going to put the block in my left hand as I rise, coming forward and up. Maybe taking the block into both hands. And then slowly starting to straighten out that left leg, bringing the right heel down. Again, I'm a little bit too far apart, so I'm going to come in. I'm using my block as stability so that I can come down into my pyramid. So I like to start off a little bit raised and start to reach forward, kind of like what we do in triangle. And coming down, allowing the head to drop. My elbows are nice and bent. I can even lower my bricks, go a little bit further. And obviously, eventually you'll be able to have your hands on the ground and fold over, but never at the risk of compressing the belly. You're much better staying up higher, elongating yourself so that you're getting that air and that lift. Just taking a couple of breaths here. Parsvottanasana, pyramid pose. Bending into that left knee now, bringing the blocks forward or block forward or water bottle forward or furniture piece. Just pumping up on that right toe. Nice buoyancy in the left leg. And when you're ready, coming into your warrior three, toes pointed down on the right foot, heel really pressing towards the back of the room as if you could stand there. Left toes pointing forward, nice straight back. Maybe walking out that block, really getting some nice extension all the way from the right heel, the back of the right leg, the lower right glute. Feeling the left glute attaching back to that left hamstring. Just really noticing in your body now on this side what's different than the other side. Crown of the head drawing forward, playing with your hands, playing with your props, seeing what feels most supportive, what you're most confident with. Again, in 2020, we had so many surprises. We had so much unknown, inconsistency. Notice where that is in your body and notice where you can depend on certain things. And when you're ready, we're going to release. Coming to a forward fold. One last one for the night. Take it with a prop or without. One more. Ardha Uttanasana, halfway left, really pressing in perhaps to the shins this time, as opposed to the block, but feeling connected to the blocks is fine as well. Whatever works for you on your halfway lift, getting a nice extension, really opening up the heart, pointing the crown forward. Finally, one more exhale. We're going to take the right foot. We're going to cross it behind the left, coming into sit on our mats. We're going to take our feet out in front. So maybe the ankles are about hip distance apart. Don't forget to make sure you have your handy dandy block with you. And the toes are going to be straight up to the ceiling. We're going to flex our feet, nice engagement. So we're almost digging in with our heel, that back ankle area. And we're just going to slightly bend our knees. And we bend our knees, the heels really aren't moving much. The heels are staying. But something very interesting might have just happened to your pelvis. So when the legs were straight, now you probably thought, oh, I'm sitting up really straight, right? But there might have been a little curvature, almost like a little back bend in your lower back. And the minute you bring those knees up, it almost forces the tailbone to draw down and the pelvis to move the opposite direction. So now we almost have a little bit of a roundness happening there. And that's going to be great. That's going to really help you with your forward fold. So a little bit of a workout here. We're going to inhale, bringing the block or the water bottle up above our head. With those heels engaged, toes engaged, knees lifted, pelvis engaged, belly drawing towards the back. We're going to exhale. I'm going to slowly lower the block just to a couple of inches above the ground. And then we're going to inhale and bring it back. And we're going to exhale and bring it forward, bringing that belly really in towards the spine, really working it. Inhale, coming up. Again, at your own breath pace. Let's see if we can do, I would say, another 5 or 6 of these. Exhaling as you come forward. Really finding stability in the legs. Allowing the movement in the spine to stay pretty localized. We don't want to be moving around too quickly. Nice, slow, concise ab work here. Really great for the core. The slower you go, it's not a race. And again, another reminder of 2020, just to slow down, be present. See what's pulling in the body, see what's tweaking. Having the time to pay a little bit more attention to it. On your last rise, your last inhale, we're going to release the block and maybe just roll the shoulders and find out wherever you might have felt a little tension. Maybe it was in the belly. You just want to do a little twisting, a little side to side. You might even want to draw the knees up and do some windshield wipers. Next, we're going to take the right leg out to the side and take the left foot to the right leg. And we're going to use our block. And again, I like to place this to the back of my leg. Very often when you go deeper in this pose, the block or the hand would come to the front of the leg. But again, for this purpose tonight, we just want to just stretch out the side waist one more time. So maybe leaning in with the right forearm and just kind of feeling that nice little stretch happen on the left-hand side. We don't want to collapse the right. So if that means taking your left hand, pressing it into your left thigh, so you're really opening up that left side body and raising the right. Maybe the gaze is coming up slightly towards the ceiling or the front corner of the room. And if you wish, you can bring that block a little bit further down the leg, or the back of the leg, the side of the leg. And maybe that left arm comes up. Maybe it comes over. I'm just taking some breaths here. Now, if we were at the beginning of the practice, it's always fun to take the block and do that little counter lever situation that we did in our extended side angle. That might have actually been a nice warm up to prepare you for that, so my bad. But in the meantime, just take this nice, easy side stretch. And inhale to rise center, flipping the legs. And again, perhaps lifting up that right arm over. And if your side bend looks something more like the block on the highest level, and maybe you're just over here leaning, that's fine too. Maybe your arm only gets to here. Just want to make sure we're not collapsing anything on the left side. So whatever keeps you open, that's what the block is for. So just like we sometimes relied on the kindness of others during this past, 9 months or so, we can rely on our props and we can rely on our body and our intuition to just give us a little helping hand, a little bit of support. When you're ready, we're going to release the legs. Sometimes helping the legs to move with the hands is a great assistance as well. And we're going to slowly grab I'm going to take a pillow this time. And I'm going to use my pillow to get into my forward fold. So the legs are going to be straight here. The feet are going to be together. Toes are going to be engaged, pointing up towards the ceiling. And take that pillow. And it's great because it's tapered at the ends. I can really get it right into my hip creases. And I'm going to do that little trick of just slightly bending the knees just so I can feel what that tilted pelvis feels like. Once I've got that pelvis, now I can straighten my legs because my tailbone is drawing down. That's going to really open me up so that I can slowly come over, folding, 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 allowing my arms to drop, my head to drop, and really having this pillow to support my forward fold. Super nice. Again, you can always roll a blanket there. And if you want to have a block, maybe somewhere for your hands to just go, because you don't want to really drag and pull on the feet. Even if you're able to touch the feet, you don't want to really be engaging and pulling. This is a time where we're allowing the parasympathetic nerve system to just start to quiet down. And this restorative forward fold is really a great way to prepare the body for that. Not forgetting to breathe, drawing that crown forward as much as possible, really allowing the chin to drop towards the chest. Noticing if there's any last tension in the back of the head, in the jaw, maybe the tongue or the teeth, maybe opening, closing the mouth. Maybe just taking the tip of the tongue and pressing it just so slight right at the back of the teeth on the top towards the roof of the mouth, and just sort of let the tongue hang like a hammock. Notice how the air coming in through the nose and out through the nose is sounding. Maybe a little ujjayi happening there. Maybe inhaling for a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 8. Slowly walk your hands to your sides of your legs to sit up. You take that block, pressing into the feet. You can just slide it right here, right under the sacrum. And you can just hang out here, really chill in a supported bridge pose, which is really, really nice. And then you can I like to hold on to the base of the block, picking up my knees one at a time, drawing my legs up towards the ceiling is a big favorite of mine. So it's a Supta Dandasana. It's a reclined forward fold. And it's a lovely, lovely ending to a practice like this. Again, I always recommend just really taking it easy. So even though a wheel might be in your practice or a full bridge might be in your practice, just allowing yourself, again, the simplicity and the comfort and the support of props in your practice. It's really, there's plenty of time for hot yoga. There's plenty of time for power yoga and strengthening. But I think especially now winding down 2020, it's really important to remember how to calm down and de-stress the body. I definitely encourage putting on some layers, some socks. If you have a hoodie and you want to just cocoon yourself in, that would be a wonderful time to do that. Alternate nasal breathing, or just taking time to stop, smile, take a breath, observe, and proceed with compassion and awareness. And it's also a wonderful time to dim the lights, light some candles and incense, maybe play some nice music, something that really warms your heart and soul, and just allow yourself to nestle into a nest. And I love to create a little restorative nest. So again, I'm going to take my pillow back. I'm going to actually switch out my blocks behind my thighs. And I'm going to bring my bolster behind my thighs. Placing that there. underneath all my layers. Sometimes it's nice to even lay a nice quilted blanket if you have that nearby. And you lay that on your mat and then you get into your nest position. That is fabulous. And I promise you, sometime between now and the end of the year, we're going to do a whole Tuesday night Nidra restorative practice together. So just allowing yourself to fall into your Savasana, maybe taking a nice deep breath to settle in. A little heavy. The calves and the shins and the knees. Allowing the thighs, the sits bones, the hip creases just falling back. Everything just melting into the supportive earth. Allowing the breath to just fall in naturally. Allowing the shoulders to fall back. Maybe allowing the hands to connect with the body. Maybe one hand on the belly, one on the heart. If that feels comfortable for you, to let the head now drop and the face to relax. Feeling the inner ear release and the crown to draw down and back. As you fall into these last moments of Shavasana, I will leave you here to enjoy the rest of that moment of restorative rest. And stay here as long as you like. I wish you a lovely week. I thank you for joining me. And take care of yourself.
Darling, darling, you're beautiful. Gotta keep your head up. Never let anything bring you down. Sunshine will always come around. Stay strong, move on. You have such a beautiful soul. Let your energy radiate.